Well, when you're the head of the union, it's in your job description. World Series, All-Star Game, start of spring training, you got to meet the media. Both Clark and Manfred met the media and had much to talk about. Much to talk about. I want to focus for a minute on Tony Clark, the embattled Tony Clark, who had to rehearse answers to people saying, what about the fact that the FBI is investigating you for your interests in the company that you use, that you had the union hire? Tony Clark said, don't be ridiculous. I'm fine. I can do my job fine. We're totally supporting that investigation, but nothing to see here. Does anyone ever say, yeah, I'm being investigated, I'm hanging on by a tooth? Hey, Lloyd Howell, how you doing there in the NFLPA? Oh, not so good. It's going to be very bad soon. You never hear anyone say that. You hear everyone say, hey, we're fine. Everybody's fine till they're not fine. Even when they know they're not going to be fine, we're good. What does Tony Clark have to communicate to the owners and to his fellow players when he meets the media? Because he sure as heck fire isn't communicating with you, the fans. Doesn't care. Not his job. It really is not his job to talk to you. It's his job to talk to all of his constituents and his job to talk to Rob Manfred and Dan Halem and the rest of the people who will be negotiating on the owner's side. Special big words. When asked about a salary cap, he said, quote, this is not about competitive balance. This is institutionalized collusion. Now that's a great mouthful. You say the word institutionalized and you bring up a lot of feelings for a lot of players. They want to rally behind that word because they don't want to feel that. And then when you use the C word, believe me, the C word is worse than the C word. And I'm not talking about the C word. I'm talking about the C word. You drop collusion and everyone says, oh, no, we're not colluding. It may be institutionalized. We're willing to give you that, but it's not collusion. It's funny when you use two words back to back and they're both have such pejorative connotations to the people who are receiving those words, which forces you to choose one of the two words to be worse, where if they were individual words used against you, you would take umbrage with each equally. Don't tell me that we're institutionalizing anything. Don't tell me that we're being collusive. We're not. Put them together, institutionalized, maybe. Collusion? No chance, toilet pants. Good job, Tony, using those words back together. I love that. Trying to tell you that the salary cap, don't you worry, players, we're not going to allow it. Don't worry, Juan Soto, we're not going to make it so you can't earn more than $765. And don't you worry, Kyle Tucker, you're going to have a chance to surpass Guerrero, I promise. And don't you worry, all you youngins out there, we will never quash your ability to make 40, 50, 60, 70 million dollars. Don't worry. Excuse me, hi, my name is David, and I was just called up, but I've got two options remaining, but I'm part of the union now, thank you. And I make $760,000, and my stuff is fine. Like, I'm good, for sure. I'm a major leaguer, for crying out loud, Meatloaf, but I'm not that guy. I'm not the top 10%. I'm not the top 1%. Hall of Famer, forget it. All-Star, NGTH, even with the replacement scenario. But are you doing anything for me? Don't you worry. We're going to get your minimum salary up by $10,000. Way to go. See where I'm getting? Most of the constituents who Tony Clark should be speaking to should not be focused on the salary cap issue. They should be focused on the issues that impact them the most, which is how many years do I need before I fully vest my pension? And if I'm not going to get that, can we get more vesting up front? Can we get uneven vesting of pension? Because having an MLB pension would be amazing because I'm going to have to go back to trade school or law school or med school or some school or just take a job in an office as a receptionist, whatever I'm going to have to do because my slider barely slides and I throw 94. Are you helping me? Tony Clark said, when talking about MLB and their desire to have a salary cap, he's got it so wrong. And I'm not just being pro-owner here. He actually has it wrong. He said they obviously talk about MLB. They obviously have their interests. And those aren't much different from the interests they've had for the last 3, 4, 5 decades at this point. Whereas the game is in a great place, the game appears to be growing and moving in the right direction with more attendance than we've had in a long time. More people are watching and streaming the games than we've ever had before. You would think there would be an opportunity to talk about how to build rather than how to go backward. What the interests are that they have is taking the game backward. That needed to be wordsmithed just a bit better, Tony. Couple things. You think that our interests are the same now as they were in the 70s? So what you're saying is that we're trying to hold players' salary down. Hold on, let me check. Every union around the world has the same thought that management's trying to hold salary down. Hold on. Every non-union shop in the world has a feeling that their bosses are trying to hold their salaries down. But again, I must be confused. It's only baseball where management does that to employees. Every other company, they're trying to lift up your salary as much as possible. I'm sure you all find that around bonus and raise time. And you're trying to tell who? The players? You're talking like an idiot to the owners. The owners know that attendance and the fact that more people are watching has absolutely nothing to do with it. Talk to me about average ticket price. Talk to me about gate revenue. Talk to me about overall industry revenue ex media. Talk to me about the difference and dilapidation of local media and what it's doing to owners in terms of their concerns of what their actual take will be from media, whether it becomes national in 3 years. What about the next 3 years? Talk to me about things that are actually happening with owners as they decide what their payroll is going to be. Then talk to the players about why Rob Manfred thinks the salary cap makes sense. And when Rob Manfred meets the players and says, gentlemen, you've lost money by not having a salary cap. You've lost money by not having a salary floor. You've lost money by not tying revenue to payroll, which is what would happen in a salary cap situation because it happens in the other leagues. Talk to me about that. Tony Clark, explain to 90% of your players, because Rob Manfred just came out and said, hey, boys, 10% of your union earns 72% of the money. Do you like that? Does that make sense to you? Now, don't tell anyone, because in a lot of different companies, it's the same thing where people at the top are making the higher percentage. That is really how companies work. So that's not a perfect argument by Rob Manfred. But when you're talking to players who are down at the minimum, they say, wait a minute, we control 72% of the vote or 90% of the vote. Maybe we should make a change. So Tony Clark is going through all these things, and I give him all the credit in the world for trying to hit the right talking points. I just think he did it wrong. But what you are seeing now, the All-Star game is done, and there's going to be a period of time right now where the rhetoric will be flying, but it's going to be a little quieter, so you'll be able to put on an umbrella and focus on the games. But then the postseason's going to start, and then there's going to be another opportunity for Clark and Manfred to be in the media. Because leading up to October, what you will have is Bruce Mayer will talk, you'll have some owners saying a few things, but Rob and Tony will try as hard as they can to keep it on lockdown. But come World Series time, just a few months from now, like 3 months from now, they'll be back in the media, and you will be able to compare what they say during the World Series to what they say now when they're 3 months closer to the end of the agreement, 3 months closer to starting negotiating in earnest a new CBA, 3 months closer to the end of this agreement, which is December of 26, 3 months closer to a lockout at the end of 26, and their tone will change and how they talk about the different issues will change. Look for that, and obviously we'll run it back when this happens, because you know that's what we do here on Nothing Personal.